Kyo had a rough childhood as both his parents despised him for being born in the cursed cat year of Chinese Zodiac. He was forced to wear a sealing bracelet to hide the actual true form of his cat curse until one day he lost the bracelet and transformed into an ugly version of Charizard. His mother couldn't bear the trauma and ended her life while Kyo was blamed for the whole tragedy. However, before any of this, Tohru leaves her palace of homelessness and heads to school early morning. She starts to wander around the forest and eventually comes across a house in the middle of the forest which seems unusual to her. An older guy named Shigure finds her and they both start discussing a set of Zodiac-themed pebbles which are lying in the veranda. Once upon a time, her mom told her a story of Chinese zodiacs in which the god invited all the animals to a banquet, but the rat deceived the cat by telling him the wrong date of the banquet. Due to his prank, all the animals enjoyed the banquet without the cat. Tohru notices that there is no cat in the zodiac stones as well, and just then Shigure's cousin Yuki arrives. He turns out to be Tohru's schoolmate and then asks to accompany her to the school. When they reach their school, some girls surround Tohru and start pestering her for coming to school with the school prince Yuki, who has all the ladies' hearts. They don't listen to her explanations, and Tohru's friends come to save her from Yuki's fangirls. Later, Tohru attends the home economics class with her friends named Arisa and Saki, where they chit-chat and she avoids talking about her living situation with them. Her friends assume that she lives with her grandfather, and she doesn't tell them that she lives by herself in a tent to not make them worry. After school, she comes across Yuki again on the way back, and he mentions that there is no place for the cat in the zodiac signs. She thinks that he must hate cats a lot, but before they can discuss anything, she runs off to her part-time job. Tohru was 3 years old when her dad died, and her mom worked hard to provide for her. She also died in an accident some time ago, and her grandfather took her in, but recently he had to get the house renovated, due to which he asked her to move to her friend's house. She didn't want to be a burden on her friends, so she decided to move into a tent and live by herself. Later at night, Yuki and Shigure are heading home when they spot Tohru walking in the woods all alone. They follow her and discover that she is living in the tent by herself, so they bring her back to their home. She explains everything to them and asks them to allow her to live in her tent since the land officially belongs to them. Afterwards, they discover that the cliff under the tent has fallen down, and she starts panicking because her mom's picture was also buried in the rubble. Shigure manages to calm her down and brings her back to his house. He makes her rest because she has a fever, and she shares with him that her mom wanted her to study in high school because she only had a middle school diploma herself. She falls asleep after rambling about her mom, and Yuki overhears everything. He starts admiring her because he himself always wanted to move away from his family Soma, but could never move away fully. The next morning, Tohru wakes up and finds that Yuki has dug up her mom's picture along with all her stuff from the rubble. The boys ask her to live with them till her grandfather's house's renovations are completed, but she thinks that she cannot be a burden on them. They convince her to stay with them and show her to her room. Just then a guy named Kyo jumps inside the room and challenges Yuki to a fight. Tohru tries to stop them from fighting and ends up colliding into Kyo, who disappears suddenly. She discovers that Kyo has transformed into a cat, and a slip causes her to collide with Shigure and Yuki as well. Both of them transform into dog and rat, which surprises her a lot. Tohru rushes out of the house with all the animals and starts rambling to a deliveryman. The dog signs the delivery package and tells her in human language that all 3 of them are zodiac animals who can transform into their respective signs when they get sick or when someone from the opposite gender hugs them. He explains that all the zodiac animals run in the Soma family, and all 3 of them then transform back into humans. Later, Kyo angrily asks the others what Tohru is doing at the house and accidentally injures her forehead. Yuki becomes triggered when he sees his rough behavior and starts fighting with him while Shigure takes care of Tohru's cut. Yuki wins the duel match, and Shigure tells him that he has to report everything to the family head Akito. Yuki thinks that Tohru's memories will be erased just like the last incident, but Shigure tells him not to worry about Akito. Yuki and Tohru head to school, and Yuki notices during the day that Tohru doesn't tell her friends about his secret or his house. After school, he confronts her and she assures him that she won't spill his secrets to anyone. He warns her that her memories may be erased, and that his identity was also discovered when he was a child, due to which his family erased the memories of all of his friends. Once again, she collides with him accidentally, which causes him to transform into a rat, and she then thanks him for worrying about her so much. He recalls that his family head Akito always told him that people will always be disgusted by his real identity, but Tohru assures him that his secret doesn't gross her out. Later, when she arrives at his home, She finds Kyo fixing her room up, and he even starts to apologize to her but storms out because he has anger issues. Shigure then arrives back after visiting the Soma family headquarters and reports that Akito has allowed Tohru to stay at their home without removing her memories. Yuki doesn't trust Akito's decisions but still welcomes Tohru into his house. The next morning, Tohru cooks food for him which he enjoys a lot, and Shigure and Kyo then barge inside the house. Kyo storms off as always, and Shigure reveals that he is transferring Kyo to Yuki's school by force. The next day, Kyo arrives at his new school and finds himself surrounded by hormonal girls who wave their panties around him. He freaks out and jumps out of the window, so Yuki follows him and scolds him for acting like a weirdo. Kyo argues with him that he will defeat him one day and become a full-fledged member of the Soma family. They both start fighting once again, so Tohru jumps between them and accidentally makes Kyo transform into a cat. He loses his temper and yells at her a lot, which makes her run away. Yuki calls him an idiot and walks away without arguing with him further. Afterwards, Shigure advises Kyo to work on his social skills and gives him lots of tips. Later at night, Tohru walks back home from her work and thinks about how she always liked the Zodiac cat, but she still cannot get along with Kyo, who is the very same Zodiac. She feels somebody's presence behind her, so she smacks her bag directly into Kyo's face without a second thought. He doesn't mind being hit and even chit-chats with her normally. She declares that she loves the Zodiac cat a lot and asks him to become her friend, but since he is an awkward potato, he runs off in embarrassment. At Yuki's school, preparations begin for the yearly cultural festival, and his class decides to have a rice ball stand. Tohru gives him some ideas regarding the rice balls, and all the students discuss some suggestions. Kyo then storms out in the middle of a discussion, and later Tohru finds him on the roof surrounded by cats. He starts pathetically ranting that Yuki has always been better than him in sports, martial arts, and everything else, due to which he can never beat him. Afterwards, Tohru's friend Arisa asks Kyo to play a card game with her group, and she taunts him about his lack of manliness, due to which he immediately accepts her challenge. Meanwhile, Yuki gets a love confession from a girl, and he rejects her immediately like the Chad he is. She calls him a reserved person who cannot open up to other people, and then runs away in tears. Later, Kyo loses the cards game, and as a punishment he has to clean the class by himself. Yuki taunts him about losing the game, and they both begin arguing once again. Things get heated up, and Yuki kicks him down before rushing out of the class in anger. Later, when Tohru gets free from her part-time job, she runs into a foreigner kid who tries to converse with her. She doesn't understand the foreign language and rushes off in a hurry, but accidentally leaves the poster of their school festival behind. She runs into Yuki, who had arrived to walk her back home. She asks him to share his worries with her, and a passerby pushes her into Yuki, which causes him to transform into a rat again. She and Yuki walk home, and Yuki shares with her that he always felt like he was living in a cage as a kid, but he always wanted to live a normal life. He thinks that Kyo is better than him because he can naturally attract people while he remains at a distance from other people. Tohru realizes that both boys feel jealous of one another, even though they are both good people individually. It starts to rain heavily, so both of them rush home, and Yuki then runs out with a plastic sheet. Tohru follows him and discovers that Yuki actually maintains a vegetable garden which he wants to protect from the rain. She helps him put the sheet over the plants and then lectures him that she finds him really kind even if he remains reserved in front of other people. She recalls that her mom always told her to believe in other people no matter what happens. After the rain passes in the morning, Yuki takes out some vegetables and decides to open up more towards other people. Tohru then makes some rice balls to practice for the cultural festival, and Kyo also makes one to eat by himself. She tells him that both he and Yuki have a lot of good qualities that they should be proud of, and he compliments her in return. Yuki then arrives and stuffs one of the rice balls in Kyo's mouth, which makes them fight again. Suddenly, a girl arrives at the door and asks Tohru whether Kyo is inside. The girl introduces herself as Kagura, Soma, and Tohru, then leads her inside. She jumps at Kyo when she sees him and starts beating him up violently for not contacting her for the past 4 months. She even breaks the doors and keeps beating him up till he passes out. Later, she reminds Kyo that he cannot leave her because he is her fiancé, and reminds him that he agreed to marry her when they were children. Tohru learns that Kagura is also a Zodiac, and that Zodiacs cannot transform if they hug each other. Kagura confronts Kyo and asks him whether he likes her or not. She professes her love for him and even declares that Tohru is her rival since she also likes the Zodiac cat. She declares that she will love Kyo even if he transforms into his true form, and Kyo makes her shut up before she reveals any more secrets. Later, Shigure makes everyone fix his doors back into their place, and Kagura decides to make food for everyone. She doesn't let Tohru help her and closes the doors to make food for her beloved Kyo. She then makes a gigantic meal which can feed armies of people and rushes upstairs to get Kyo. He acts like a brat in front of her, so she beats him up and ends up throwing him in the kitchen. He lands on the food and ruins everything, so Kagura runs out of the house to shop for ingredients. Shigure runs after her and she asks him whether she can live in the house with them because Tohru's presence is making her worried. Shigure reminds her that she has to follow the family rules and she runs away in tears. Later, Tohru finds her in the supermarket and pays for her food. They both walk home together and Tohru shares with her that she only likes the Zodiac cat, which relaxes Kagura a lot. Kagura shares her sob story that she became friends with Kyo when they were kids and that she has always liked them. Both girls become friends and hurry back home where they make food together. After they are done, Tohru goes to fetch Kyo and finds him lying on the roof. She starts consoling him that he should care more about Kagura's feelings, and he shares with her his only dream is to beat Yuki in a match. He reveals that he trained under his martial arts teacher, who is also a Soma member, for 4 months in the mountains. Afterwards, they all eat dinner together and Kagura separately cooks an egg for Kyo because she knows his favorite food. She ends up staying the night, and the next day she bids farewell to everyone. A delivery boy comes to deliver the papers, and Kagura ends up running into him, which causes her to transform into a boar. Yuki makes the delivery boy leave before he can witness anything, and Tohru cuddles with Kagura because she finds her really cute. Kagura begins beating up Kyo for cheating on her, and afterwards she leaves on good terms with everyone. Tohru then heads to school with her harem of boys, and later she borrows some books from the library related to gardening to help out Yuki. She gets a call from someone out of nowhere and learns shocking news from her grandpa. Later she shares with everyone that her grandfather's house has been renovated and that she can move there soon. Shigure suggests that they should eat out, but Tohru rushes inside the kitchen and insists on making food for the boys as usual. She recalls that she was making food for her mom one day despite having a fever, and her mom consoled her by asking her to be selfish once in a while. Soon she gives all the instructions to Shigure about the kitchen and rushes to her room to pack her stuff. Shigure notices that the boys are very gloomy about her leaving, but they are not saying anything to stop her. Tohru packs her stuff and feels upset about leaving the Soma family, but she reminds herself that she has always been excluded wherever she went. She soon returns to her grandfather's place where everyone welcomes her. One by one, the Soma family guys start to miss her a lot, and the atmosphere becomes really gloomy without her. Tohru unpacks her stuff in her cousin's room, and her cousin complains about sharing her room. Her aunt then calls her downstairs and reveals that she had a private detective investigate her, and that he told them that she was living with a man all along. Her cousin implies to her that she must be doing indecent things, and her grandpa then slaps her cousin. Her grandpa tells Tohru that she is always welcome in his family, but she deserves to live a better life where she can spread her wings just like her mom Kiyoko. Tohru realizes that she wants to return to her actual home where the Somas will always welcome her and never taunt her about anything. She then starts crying, and suddenly Yuki appears in front of her asking her to head back home with him. Some time ago, Yuki and Kyo were arguing at their home like usual, and Yuki then stormed out of the house in frustration. He took Tohru's note with him, which had her address written on it, and Kyo then ran after him. They both looked for Tohru's grandpa's house together and found it. They then heard everything, and when Tohru said that she wanted to return to Shigure's house, Yuki barged inside and asked her to come along. Kyo jumps in after him and drags out Tohru with him while Yuki clears things up with her family. Kyo tells Tohru that they both overheard everything and that she should make selfish requests from time to time, especially if she wants to come back to their house. She recalls that her mom said the same thing to her and starts crying on the spot. Kyo then drags her back home, and Yuki also accompanies her, which makes her feel that she is finally not being excluded by the people around her. Tohru's family members wonder what happened out of nowhere while her grandfather wishes the best for her. The boys return home with Tohru, and Shigure welcomes all of them with clapping. Yuki and Kyo begin arguing as always and get into a fight for the 100th time, while Tohru feels like she has finally returned to her family. The cultural festival day arrives, and Tohru's class gets a lot of audience due to her cooking. A lot of students also come by to watch Yuki, who has dressed up as a girl due to popular demand from all the senior girls. Tohru notices that he looks pissed off, and Kyo reveals that Yuki has a complex about her femboy face. Just then a foreigner boy jumps on Yuki, and Tohru realizes that the same foreigner kid also met her some time ago. Another hunky-looking dude named Hatori accompanies the foreigner kid called Momiji, and they both introduce themselves as Soma family members. Hatori reveals that he is the family doctor who checks up monthly on Yuki because he has some lung issues. Tohru rushes off to deal with Momiji, who is messing around, and Hatori then tells Yuki that Akito wanted to come to the festival, but he came in his stead because Akito had a fever. Meanwhile, Kyo ties Momiji up to stop him from moving, and Momiji then tells Tohru that the building they met is owned by his dad. He then jumps into Tohru's arms and transforms into a bunny. The other students wonder why Tohru is holding a bunny, and Yuki starts acting like a cringe-embarrassed wannabe to distract the girls around Tohru. Everyone becomes distracted by his act, and Tohru then runs away with Momiji in her hands. She ends up at the roof with all the Zodiac members, and the guys scold Momiji for acting so reckless. Hatori then makes Kyo and Yuki line up and takes a photo of them to show it to Akito later. He heads back with Momiji, and Tohru notices that Yuki looks really down about dressing up as a girl, so she consoles him. He feels motivated after her lecture and decides to continue dressing up for the senior girl's sake. He also advises her to never be alone with Hatori since he can suppress her memories. Later, Tohru ends up telling her friends that she is actually living with the Soma family, and they decide to check up on her by visiting her house. They pay a visit to her the next day, and the boys worry about their visit because they don't want their secret to be discovered. Tohru serves all of them tea, and Shigure tells her friends that he is actually a novelist, which shocks Tohru a lot. She runs to her room to get something, and Arisa starts venting to the boys that Tohru never shared her problems with them, even though they always had her back. Tohru returns with a card set, and they all play card games together. Meanwhile, Shigure pays a visit to Akito and reports to him that the boys are getting along with Tohru, even though Akito was expecting the experiment to fail. The girls stay for the night with Tohru, and Kyo overhears them talking. Tohru shares with Saki that when she was a child she was chased by some bully kids and got lost as a result. She was crying a lot when she saw a boy around her age, and the boy started running, so she ran after him. He then led her to her apartment and gave his hat to her. She thinks that she may have even fallen in love with him, and then thanks her friends for always supporting her. The next morning, the boys are fighting as usual when Saki and Arisa come down. They tell the boys to take care of Tohru and that they will be visiting the house from time to check up on their friend. Tohru then gets a call from Hatori telling her to come to the Soma estate alone and to not tell anyone about her visit. Soon Tohru heads to Soma estate on her own after telling the boys that she is going to visit a friend. She comes across Momiji at the gate, and he leads her to Hatori's home. She meets up with Hatori and even spots a picture of a woman on his desk, which surprises her. Momiji then serves her tea and explains to her that Hatori is only the Soma family doctor. He explains that there are tons of families living in Soma estate, but only 50 of them are considered insider families, which consist of Zodiac members or close family members. She realizes that not all the Soma family members know about the Zodiac secrets, and Hatori then tells her to move out of Shigure's home because he thinks that Akito is using her. He advises her not to associate with the Soma family because they are all cursed, and then heads out to see who is at the door. Momiji shares with her that Hatori used to have a fiancé named Kana, but Akito didn't allow them to get married, and even became violent, which caused Hatori to almost lose his left eye. Afterwards, Kana blamed herself for the incident and became really depressed, so Hatori removed all her memories and made her leave. Hatori never blamed Akito for the incident, and Tohru starts crying after listening to such a pathetic sob story. Shigure arrives at Hatori's home and assures Tohru that Hatori is just being dramatic. He calms her down and reveals that he has come to check up on New Year preparations in which the Zodiacs are supposed to participate. Hatori then leads her through the Soma estate, and she slips on some stairs, which causes her to collide with him. He transforms into a seahorse, and she starts panicking as she looks for water to keep him alive. In the past, Hatori met Kana when she became his medical assistant. They both spent a lot of time together, and he eventually fell in love with her, but he never approached her directly. One day, he accidentally transformed into a seahorse, which exposed his identity, and she started panicking just like Tohru. After he had transformed back into a human, she realized that Hatori never hugged her or came close to her because of his secret. She accepted his sorry bum as it is, and they spent a glorious 2 months together. Afterwards, they begged Akito to let them marry one another, but Akito accused her of stealing Hatori from him and lashed out at her. The situation turned very violent as Hatori fell on a mirror which cut his eye and Shigure separated them to prevent more fighting. Kana became very depressed and Akito advised Hatori to remove her memories. He advised him that Zodiacs like them don't deserve true love, and when he approached Kana next, she begged for his forgiveness because she blamed herself for not protecting his eye. Hatori then removed her memories because he wanted to stop her from living in pain. In the present, he wakes up on a bench and Tohru rushes off to find his shoes. Some Soma family members pass by him and Kana turns out to be one of them. The girls chit-chat about her upcoming marriage with another guy and even tease her that she used to have a big unrequited crush on Hatori once upon a time. Hatori realizes that he is seeing her after 2 whole years and prays for her happiness once again. He then leads Tohru to the main gate where she meets up with Shigure and bids farewell to Hatori. A fancy-looking car passes by with Akito inside, and suddenly she asks Shigure what the Zodiac curse is, but he refuses to tell her anything about the curse. One day, Tohru discusses with her school friends that her grandpa's family is going to Hawaii for the New Year's, and they invite her to live with them during the winter vacation. She doesn't want to be a useless burden on them, so she tells them not to worry about her situation. Later she helps clean the house with the Soma boys, and then asks Shigure whether she can stay at his house for the winter vacation. He allows her to stay, but after some time, Kyo and Yuki start whining that they are not going to the Soma family estate for the New Year's. They don't listen to Shigure's pleading and even tell Tohru that the Soma estate holds a huge festival in which the whole family gathers, and there is an exclusive Zodiac banquet too. Tohru learns that Kyo isn't invited to the banquet just like the folktale because he has the cat Zodiac, and she then advises them to go to the estate since they can meet their parents as well. She assures them that she will take care of the house and then runs off to fix the bathwater. The boys agree to go due to her request, and they tell themselves that she will be fine without them. Later they all head to the Soma estate after bidding Tohru goodbye, and on the way they keep discussing whether Tohru can take care of herself or not in their absence. They all run into Saki, who learns about their situation and informs them that Tohru has never spent a New Year alone. She thinks that Tohru will miss her mother a lot if she is alone, and the boys decide to abandon their mission to go to the Soma estate. They both rush to their home, leaving Shigure behind to go meet with Akito. The boys run to their house as quickly as possible and run inside to find Tohru crying tears of pathetic loneliness with her mom's picture in front of her. They collapse on the door, which makes Tohru fret over them even more, and both of them feel relieved that she didn't have to spend the New Year's alone by herself. Shigure arrives at the Soma estate and meets up with Hatori and another member called Hatsuharu. He tells them that Kyo and Yuki are skipping the New Year's celebration, and then meets with Momiji, who is all dressed up for the New Year's dance. Shigure heads inside to inform Akito about the boys skipping the festival and thinks that Akito deserves this kind of behavior. Tohru eats mochi with the group and then rushes off to receive a call. The boys follow her to eavesdrop on her while Tohru talks with Arisa about the New Year's. Arisa wishes her Happy New Year and then hangs up, so the boys rush back to their seats. They inform her that they met Saki on the way and that she was also really worried for her. Tohru wonders whether they are missing out by skipping the Soma festival, but both boys don't feel guilty about not attending it since they like spending it with her. Later they all climb on the roof and watch the sunrise together. Tohru wishes them Happy New Year, and Kyo yells out the world's most predictable New Year's wish that he wants to beat Yuki in the upcoming year. One day, the Soma family member Hatsuharu is out in the streets when a bunch of girls decide to approach him because they find him really hot. He immediately gets on a bicycle and storms away to avoid the plague. Meanwhile, Tohru shops for ingredients after the end of winter vacations, and Yuki and Kyo accompany her on the errand. They continue arguing with each other as if that's the only thing they know how to do. Later, Yuki tells everyone that he feels feverish, and Tohru advises him to stay home since there is a long run the next day. Kyo becomes super excited to defeat Yuki in the long run and challenges him instantly, so Yuki decides to join the race the next day. Shigure advises Yuki to take care since they can turn into their animal form if they are too sick. The next day, all the students prepare for the long run race, and the race begins with the girls' side going first. Saki walks 2 steps and declares that she cannot move any further and that she will be walking the rest of the way. The boys' race begins after a minute, and Yuki and Kyo take the lead as they both run ahead to beat one another. Tohru spots a weird-looking guy on the way, so she stops to help him out and discovers that it's actually Hatsuharu. He asks her whether she knows about the Soma family, and then plants a trap on the way which causes Kyo to fall down when he runs over it. Kyo and Yuki then meet up with him and they introduce Tohru to him as well. Hatsuharu reveals that he has come to challenge Kyo to a fight, and Kyo tells him to go back since he wants to finish his race first. He gets triggered and another dark personality overtakes him which starts to attack Kyo out of nowhere. Yuki explains to Tohru that sometimes Hatsuharu loses control of his senses and a Dark Haru takes over him. Dark Haru prompts Kyo to fight with him and says that he will do weird things to Tohru as well if he doesn't listen to him. Kyo becomes pissed and starts fighting with Haru full on. They both fight for a while and Yuki points out that Haru is definitely the weakest of the two, so he is bound to lose eventually. Suddenly, he feels a feverish attack which causes him to feel faint, and Haru declares that they can fight later. Yuki refuses to go to the Soma estate, and Haru then hugs Tohru out of nowhere which causes him to transform into a cow. He then carries Yuki on his back, and everyone heads back to Shigure's house. They put Yuki in his room, and Tohru decides to watch over him, so Shigure heads to their school to fetch everyone's things. Haru calls Hatori to update him about Yuki's health, and after the call, he admits to Kyo that he cannot defeat him at this point. He heads back to school and Haru points out that all the Soma boys are acting livelier in Tohru's presence. He shares his own sob story with her that he used to hate Yuki as a kid because he always hated that the rat used the ox by riding on his back in the Zodiac folktale. His dark personality emerged due to pent-up frustrations, and he even started learning martial arts for his stress. When he met Yuki, he found a completely different person and started to like him a lot. Haru decides to check how much Yuki likes Tohru, and when Yuki wakes up, Tohru calls him by his first name on Haru's advice. Yuki instantly transforms into a rat, which confirms Haru's suspicions that he must like her a lot. Later, the remaining Soma boys get a cold as well, and Hatori comes to check up on all of them. One day, Kyo wakes up from a bad dream and heads to school without breakfast like a hormonal moody teenager. Later at school, Tohru's friends raid Yuki's locker to check how many chocolates he has gotten since it's the day before Valentine's Day. They only find one chocolate and come to the conclusion that some girl must have thrown all the other chocolates in the bin to get more attention. In class, the girls make different plans to give Yuki chocolates, and even Kyo starts getting chocolates. The dumb head finally realizes that it's Valentine's Day, which scares him a lot, and he decides to go on a trip instantly to avoid any further trouble. The homeroom teacher spoils his plans and doesn't let him skip any class. After the classes, Kyo finds Kagura waiting for him at the school gate, and she chases after him like a madwoman. They all end up at Shigure's house where Kagura asks him out on a day on the next day, and he flatly refuses any of her invitations. She starts to cry and then suggests that Yuki and Tohru can join them on a double date. Tohru likes the idea a lot since she has never been on a date, and both the boys accept Kagura's idea after seeing Tohru's enthusiasm. Kagura mentions to Kyo before leaving that he seems to be getting along with Yuki, and after she is gone, he declares to Shigure that he still hates Yuki a lot. Shigure asks him whether he is feeling that it's his duty to hate Yuki, and Kyo runs away on hearing his question. Tohru follows him into the forest and finds him all scared and crouched down. He tells her to forget that anything happened, and she wonders why he is feeling so hurt. The next day, Tohru asks Shigure to deliver Hatori and the other Soma boys Valentine's chocolates, and then heads off with the Soma boys for their double date. Kagura meets them halfway and jumps on Kyo as usual. They all head to watch movies, and at the same time, Shigure arrives at the Soma estate. He gives the chocolates to Hatori and informs him about the double date. They both discuss that Tohru is definitely influencing the boys a lot, and Hatori points out that Shigure is using Tohru for his own plans. Shigure argues with him that he will fulfill the vow he made with Aya and Hatori, even if he has to hurt someone in the way. He thinks that he is the most cursed Zodiac out of all of them, and an attendant comes to inform Hatori that he has to check up on Akito now. Hatori sees Shigure off and tells him that he is not his ally in his plans, but he won't hold him back either. Shigure then goes to visit Akito and tells him that he cares the most about him. Tohru walks back home with everyone after watching a movie, and the girls discuss how they enjoyed the movie a lot. They find Shigure's editor Mitsuru on the gate, who is in tears. Later, Mitsuru pesters over Shigure to complete his manuscript as soon as possible, while Tohru heads to the kitchen to make chocolates for the remaining boys. The students have their midterm exams, and after the exams are done, Tohru thanks Yuki for tutoring her. They all joke around that Kyo must really suck at exams, and Saki reveals that her parents are even called in sometimes due to her bad scores. The teacher informs Tohru that she has to pay her outstanding tuition fees, so she decides to work some extra hours to fully collect it. She works in Momiji's dad's place and later heads home with Momiji as well. At their home, Momiji gives her a hot springs invitation as a gift for her Valentine's Day chocolates, and Shigure convinces Tohru to visit the hot springs since she thinks that only fancy rich people can go to such places. Shigure then informs her that her grandfather contacted him to let him know that he can pay her monthly tuition fees since she is behind by 1 month, and she assures him that she can pay the school soon. The boys suddenly realize that she spent her money on Valentine's Day chocolate, due to which she couldn't pay her fees on time, and Kyo sends her to take a bath in anger. They discuss why she cannot be more selfish by spending the money on her, and Momiji shares a story with them in which a traveler gave away all her things to please people. The traveler eventually gave away her body parts as well and died, which earned her the title of the idiot traveler, but he thinks that the traveler was very praiseworthy since she was acting very selfless. Kyo decides to go with Tohru to the hot springs after listening to the story since he wants to make her happy. Soon they all visit the hot springs together, which are owned by the Somas, and Shigure doesn't come with them since he had a deadline for his scripts. A frail-looking manager named Ukami greets and shows them to their rooms. Kyo starts complaining about sharing the room with Yuki, so Momiji teases him that he must want to sleep with Tohru instead. Ukami then haggles Kyo a lot and scolds him endlessly for having such thoughts, which makes him declare that he is fine with sharing the room. Momiji then starts whining that he wants to take a bath with Tohru, and Yuki convinces him not to make Tohru comfortable. Later everyone takes a bath, and Ukami joins Tohru in the hot springs. She notices that Tohru is holding her mom's picture, and then tells her that her son is the Zodiac monkey, due to which she knows the Zodiac secret as well. Tohru asks her what her son is like, and she tells her that he is kind at heart. Later Yuki and Kyo play ping pong, and Kyo cannot hit the ball properly, so he starts throwing a tantrum. Tohru then plays with Kyo instead, and misses her hits because she is a lousy player. Yuki heads out on his own, and Tohru follows him. He calls her very funny and then starts laughing at her clumsy ping pong shots. He then gives her a present as a White Day gift, and it turns out to be a pair of ribbons. She puts it on, and he then kisses the ribbons, which makes her blush a lot. The next day they all leave the hot springs, and she learns that Momiji is actually just a year younger than her, which surprises her a lot. She also learns that Hatsuharu and Momiji are joining their school next year. Spring arrives, and Tohru and her friends graduate to become second-year students. Yuki becomes busy doing committee duties in which he helps out new first-year students, and the girls lose their crap over him as always. Tohru notices from the window that Shigure has also come to the school to drop off Hatsuharu and Momiji, who have just joined the school. Saki threatens Kyo and asks him to bring the new Somas to her, but Tohru offers to go meet them instead. She forces Kyo to go with her, and Kyo finds out their class by asking around. He notices that some new first-year boys are ogling at Tohru, and he glares at them to prevent them from talking to her. He advises her to stop spacing out as well, and just then Momiji and Haru come out to meet them. Momiji is in the girl's uniform, so Kyo starts scolding him for acting like a creep. Yuki also comes to meet them, and the Students' Council President Takei also spots them. He thinks that the Somas are always going against the dress code and points out Kyo's carrot hair plus Momiji's dressing and Hatsuharu's jewelry plus hair. Hatsuharu assures him that his hair is his natural color, and Takei then turns his eyes towards Momiji, who is dressed in a girl's shirt. Tohru tells him to give him a break, and the guys ask Takei whether he will mind if Yuki also starts dressing up as a girl. He starts imagining Yuki as a girl, which makes him feel really happy, and then asks Hatsuharu whether he can prove that his hair color is natural. Haru drags him to the washroom where he shows his earthly goods, and Takei comes out in a trauma. He heads away after admitting that he was wrong, and Yuki asks Haru how he proved his natural hair color. He offers her to show it to her as well, and Kyo and Yuki then beat him up for talking indecently with Tohru. The bell rings, so Tohru heads off to her class while Momiji stops the boys behind to tell them something. Tohru is heading to her class when she comes across the mysterious Akito, and at the same time Momiji tells the boys that Akito has also come to the school to watch them. Tohru greets Akito, and Akito comments that she seems really nice and gentle. He tells her to take care of the Soma boys, and Yuki watches their interaction from the window, so he rushes to the scene. He confronts Akito and asks him what he was doing to Tohru, so Akito and Tohru both tell him that they were just saying hello to each other. Akito then touches Yuki's cheek, which freezes him on the spot, and asks him why he didn't come to the New Year's, especially when he has been so generous to him lately. He asks him whether he wants to be re-educated in his special room again, and Tohru shoves him away from Yuki out of nowhere. She explains to him that they need to head back to class, and Akito then walks away after telling Yuki to pay him a visit. Tohru wonders what they were chatting about, and when she notices Yuki's expressions, she invites him to play games with her after school. Everyone gathers after school, and they play badminton in teams. Meanwhile, Shigure tells Hatori that Akito thinks that Tohru is really ugly, and that Yuki will soon come back to him. He thinks that Yuki cannot forget about Akito since he has psychologically tormented him so much by keeping him in one room. Yuki plays badminton with everyone else till the sunset, and finally starts feeling better. Tohru and Yuki tend Yuki's little garden, and Tohru then heads back to cook food for the boys. She notices some clothes lying on the ground, and suddenly something creeps inside her clothes, which makes her start screaming. Yuki rushes to the scene and spots a snake slithering out of her clothes. Meanwhile, Kyo and Shigure are fooling around at the house when Yuki barges inside the house and asks Shigure to skin the snake alive. Shigure notices that it's actually a Zodiac member called Ayame and puts the snake inside a warm room. He explains to Tohru that Aya sometimes transforms during the cold season and that he is Yuki's older brother. Aya transforms back into a human and announces to the others how he sneaked inside Tohru's clothes like a freak. Shigure reveals that Ayame has come to meet Tohru and advises Ayame to treat Tohru nicely, so Ayame drags Tohru out with him to have lunch together. They go to a ramen shop where he tells Tohru that he has always been distant with Yuki since Yuki was quarantined mostly after his birth. He had actually come to meet Yuki after hearing that Akito had paid them a visit, but he was surprised to see that Yuki was not depressed after the visit. Tohru advises him that he can still be close to Yuki by making an effort, and they both then eat lunch together. They then return home, and Tohru asks Yuki whether he hates his brother, so Yuki informs her that he just finds him a difficult person to be with since they don't know each other a lot. Suddenly, Ayame emerges from Tohru's clothes in his snake form, and it pisses off Yuki a lot, so they both start arguing. Ayame then stays for the night and wakes up in Kyo's room because Yuki had locked his room on him. The group goes to school where Tohru learns from Momiji that Ayame is actually the owner of a dress shop which sells men's dreams. After school, they all return home and find that Ayame is still at the house. Ayame shares with them a story about his high school life in which he convinced the principal that he belonged to the royal family in order to convince him to let him keep his long hair. He also shares an incident in which some students were supposed to be expelled when they broke a rule, but Ayame's long-drawn emotional speech stopped them from getting expelled. Yuki continuously tells him to leave the house, but he doesn't listen to him and keeps giving long speeches to everyone. Suddenly, Hatori arrives at their home and reveals that Hatsuharu told them that Ayame is paying a visit. Hatori takes Ayame away with him, and Shigure reveals that Ayame has only ever listened to Hatori because he admires him a lot. Ayame also tells Hatori that he likes people like Hatori and Tohru who do their best towards other people. Tohru starts to feel that the brothers are much closer than before, which makes her happy. The next day in school, Yuki thanks Hatsuharu for worrying about him since he was the one who told Hatori to take Ayame away. Tohru informs Shigure that she plans to visit her mom's grave on her death anniversary soon with her friends, and Yuki offers to come with her. Shigure then tells Kyo to join her as well since it's a special day for her. Later she discusses her mother's death with her friends at their school, and Arisa points out that her mother Kiyoko was a legend who was a famous bikister as well. Momiji runs around them playing a game with his classmates, so Tohru tells him to take care and not run around much. Saki and Arisa start discussing that Tohru has worked hard after her mother's death, due to which she can be so cheerful, and they admire her a lot for her qualities. Later Tohru does her part-time job, and Momiji helps her out with her tasks. Momiji reveals that his mother is actually German while her dad belongs to the Soma family, and even shows her a picture of his mother. He explains that he has a little sister named Momo as well, and that his mom and sister usually come to pick his dad up. Suddenly Momiji's mother spots him and asks him not to wander around the building and to head home early. She leaves them, and Tohru realizes that Momiji's mother doesn't know him at all. Momiji explains to her that when he was born as a Zodiac child, her mom rejected him instantly and started resenting him. She even hurt herself with scissors, and his dad told him that his mother should forget about his existence in order to recover mentally. Momiji then overheard his mom telling Hatori that Momiji is her biggest life regret, and soon her memories were erased. She recovered quickly after she forgot about Momiji's existence, and Tohru realizes that Momiji visits his dad's building often to watch over his mom. She starts crying, and Momiji lectures her that he wants to face all of his memories even though they are sad. Tohru then jumps on him to hug him, which causes him to transform into a bunny, and they both cry together. Afterwards, Tohru visits her mother's grave with both Yuki and Kyo, and they meet up with Arisa and Saki, who look like a couple of goths. Arisa reveals that the coat she is wearing was passed down by Tohru's mother Kiyoko to her, and they then visit the grave, which has already been cleaned by Tohru's grandpa. Tohru tells the group that Kiyoko was estranged from her parents, and that her dad passed away due to a cold when she was a kid. Yuki thinks back on the moment when Tohru was called from their class on the day of her mom's death, and when her friends ran after her from the class. He helps them put flowers on Kiyoko's grave, and meanwhile Saki notices that Kyo looks really disturbed for some reason. Tohru decides to have a picnic at the graveyard, and Arisa tells the group how she knew Kiyoko from before. Later, Tohru heads home with the boys, and the girls discuss that the Soma boys always seem troubled by something. Tohru arrives home and drinks tea at the veranda while thinking about her dead mom. She falls asleep just like that, and Kyo finds her next. He tries to wake her up and then leans down to whisper an apology in her ears. At the same time, Yuki comes across Tohru's room and finds a cap inside, which shocks him a lot. Soon everyone takes a vacation at the Soma vacation house, and even Hatori comes with them. Tohru starts to feel like there is something strange going on with Yuki and Kyo, as both boys are acting weird around her. Shigure tries to cheer them up by chit-chatting with them, and even suggests that they should take Tohru on a walk towards the lake. They boys don't give any proper response, so he starts suggesting that maybe he should another person like Ayame to cheer the mood. They suddenly become convinced and take Tohru on a walk outside. Hatori thinks that Shigure suddenly invited everyone on a vacation because he wanted to torment his editor, who was going to come to fetch the manuscript. Meanwhile, Tohru notices that both boys look constipated around her, which makes her think that they must be angry at her. She starts apologizing to them out of nowhere, and suddenly Kyo trips on something. They notice that he tripped on a bare mark on the soil, and Tohru then ends up falling down a steep incline of a hill. Shigure calls his editor to let her know about the vacation, and afterwards gives Hatori some books to read and enjoy. Hatori thinks that he must want to cheer him up because of Kana's wedding, so he takes up on his offer and starts reading a book. The boys jump after Tohru and end up transforming into their Zodiac animals. Yuki blames Kyo for being a dunce, and they both begin arguing like usual, which makes Tohru laugh out. The boys tell her that they weren't mad at her and that they were acting moody because they weren't feeling great. They transform back into their human selves and start arguing again. They then return back to the cottage and, after some time, decide to visit the lake again. Hatori falls asleep, which shocks Kyo since he has never seen him sleeping. Shigure mentions that Hatori has also been going through a lot, due to which he needs time to relax. Just then Ayame shows up out of nowhere and declares that he has come to deepen his brotherly bond with Yuki. The boys tell him to leave since his rambling lectures turn them off a lot. He argues and then makes them leave so that they can visit the lake with Tohru. He then fools around with Hatori and Shigure, who are his long-term besties and were even his schoolmates in high school back in the day. Tohru visits the lake with the boys, and they both start arguing about Ayame. Kyo even calls the lake stupid, but suddenly realizes that the comment may be upsetting towards Tohru, so both boys start explaining themselves to her. Ayame gives Hatori a picture of Kana's wedding and lets him decide whether he wants to look at it or not. He reveals that he got the picture from Mayu, and they discuss how a person named Mayu used to be Shigure's ex-girlfriend back in the day. Hatori starts ranting that he can never be with Kana since her memories may come back, and that he wants her to be happy, but Ayame cannot accept that only Kana will find happiness and that Hatori will forever remain a boring, lonely loser. He declares that he must become 2,000 times happier than Kana, and Hatori advises him to show the same affectionate side to Yuki too. Tohru returns with the boys, and Ayame starts pestering Yuki a lot, which spoils his mood. Tohru visits a swimming pool with her friends, and they come across a lot of their schoolgirls. Saki scares them away with her creepy looks, and Arisa notices that Tohru is still using her middle school swimming suits, which makes her very sad. Tohru notices that she seems upset about her swimming suit, so she decides to buy one soon in the upcoming year. Arisa meanwhile gets an idea, and she goes to Tohru's house, where she reminds all the guys that they make Tohru work a lot, due to which they should give her a present in the form of a swimsuit. She manages to convince them, especially when she reveals that Tohru still wears her old swimsuit, and Shigure then begs Tohru to buy a new one. Soon they visit the shopping center to buy a swimming suit for Tohru, and Arisa drags Yuki and Kyo with her even though they feel really embarrassed. Tohru looks through the suits while the guys try to hide their faces, and Arisa asks them to choose a color for Tohru's swimsuit. Both the boys blurt out different colors and then start arguing with one another over the color, which makes Arisa think that they are really stupid. She tells them that Kiyoko always liked the color pink on Tohru and decides that it should be the swimsuit's color as well. Some girls spot Arisa and decide to rough her up, but they wonder whether the guys near her will protect her. The girls choose a swimsuit and then gift it to Tohru finally, who accepts it with tears. They all eat lunch together where Arisa shares that she used to be in a women gang in middle school. She used to be involved in a lot of sketchy activities, but at that time she really looked up to an infamous bike gang leader named Crimson Butterfly, who was actually Tohru's mom Kiyoko. One day she learned from the others that Kiyoko has a daughter who may be going to her school and that Kiyoko's last name has been changed to Kiyoko. Soon she ran into Tohru in her middle school and helped pick her books up. When she learned that Tohru was Kiyoko's daughter, she was really surprised because she was expecting Tohru to be more violent and gangster-like. She then walked to Tohru's home with her, and they both met Kiyoko on the way, who had jumped on Tohru. She was then introduced to Kiyoko, and her admiration went to dust since Kiyoko had now become a doting parent rather than the infamous scary gangster. Arisa went into their home and became even more disappointed to see Kiyoko's changed persona. Kiyoko then invited her to eat dinner with her, and when Arisa saw her loving behavior with Tohru, she stormed out of the house. Tohru ran after her to give her mask back to her, but Arisa only yelled at her and stormed away again. She became more involved in the usual gang activities and stopped going to school as well. Her mom had run away with some guy when she was in the first grade, due to which the warm environment of Tohru's house really pissed her off a lot. She went back to her house after a couple of days and saw her dad, whose only job was to drink and waste his time, especially after his mom had run away. She then went inside her room and started thinking about Kiyoko once again. One time Arisa got into a fight with some high school chicks and they started to call other girls to beat her up, so she threw some cones at them and made a run for it. She hid herself in an alleyway and then ran into Tohru, who was coming back from shopping. Tohru saw that she was getting chased, so she dragged her away and they both ran to Tohru's house. Tohru then gave her a first aid box to treat her cuts while she herself got busy making dinner. Arisa took in the environment of the house and realized that she has never felt such warmth because she has always been an outcast everywhere. She started crying, which freaked out Tohru a lot, and started realizing that she has been lonely all this time ever since her mom went away. In the present, some wannabe gangster girls approach Arisa and challenge her to a fight, but she only ignores them and finishes her meal. They all then head out and the delinquent girls keep following them around, which makes Arisa feel nostalgic since she used to act just like them. In the past, she became friends with Tohru and started coming to her house often after every fight and trouble. Kiyoko would always listen to her problems and give her advice, so Arisa always sought out their house. She even started going back to school to spend more time with Tohru and started doing better in her studies, even though the people around them looked at their friendship suspiciously. Arisa's gang took notice that she was not active anymore and decided to look around for her. One time, the girls in their class asked Tohru whether she was really friends with Arisa, and Tohru wondered whether Arisa thinks of her as her best friend as well. Arisa overheard everything from the outside and told herself that she always wants to protect Tohru. She then decided to leave her gang once and for all, and her gang members beat her up by taking turns when she told them the news. She collapsed on the ground after getting a beating, and Kiyoko appeared on her bike to help her out. When she woke up, she was being carried by Kiyoko, and she told her that one of her seniors told her to help out. Arisa thought that she was always causing everyone trouble, and Kiyoko consoled her that there are many people that care about her. Arisa started crying like a wuss, and Kiyoko advised her that it's normal to want a normal environment after hitting rock bottom. Arisa then told her that she wants to become Tohru's best friend, and that she wants to become a better person for her sake. Soon many people picked up fights with her, but she always got through them and eventually left her delinquent life behind. Her senior also moved away, and both Tohru and her met Saki in the 8th grade. They all entered high school together, and Kiyoko threw a party in their honor. Life became much more fun for her, but eventually Kiyoko passed away, and she lost her mentor, whom she loved a lot. In the present, Saki tries to scare off the kids who are following the group around, so Arisa steps between them and tells them that she will scold them whenever they want. She walks away after sprouting wannabe cool words, and the delinquent kids become her fans instantly. Arisa then returns to her home and cooks food for her father while scolding him for drinking a lot. One day Tohru and Yuki get stuck outside due to a sudden downpour, and they decide to wait for the rain to pass by. Yuki shares with her that Takei and the others expect him to become the next student council president, even though he doesn't want to do it. They then spot Hatsuharu, who is soaked in rain, and he shows them a tiger that he is holding. Tohru learns that the tiger is actually the Zodiac animal named Kisa Soma, and Kisa then bites her hand, which makes her faint. Later, Hatsuharu puts bandages on Tohru's wound, and Yuki tells Kisa to apologize to Tohru for her rude behavior, but she only turns around in her animal form. Haru reminds them that Kisa cannot speak since her middle school started, and that she has even run away from home, due to which he was out in the rain looking for her. He reveals that Kisa was actually getting bullied, and this upsets Kisa, so jumps on the table and bites Haru's arm as well. She then runs off, and Tohru runs after her. Haru explains to Yuki that Kisa has stopped speaking, similar to how he stopped speaking for a while after his situation with Akito. Yuki becomes pissed and storms off after hearing this. Tohru finds Kisa hiding in a corner, so she tries to approach her and gets bitten instead. A woman appears and tells Kisa that Shigure called her to come meet her. She turns out to be Kisa's mother, and Tohru recalls Momiji's words that Zodiac children's parents are either very overprotective or resentful. Her mom blames her for not telling her about the bullying, and Tohru shares with her that she couldn't tell her mom when would get bullied as well because she always felt ashamed about her condition and wanted to feel loved. Yuki overhears her comments and thinks that he used to feel ashamed about his own conditions as well. Kisa transforms back into a human and starts crying on hearing her words. Shigure decides to let Kisa stay at his house for the time being, since he thinks that it's a good idea for Kisa to be separated from her mom. Kisa remains attached with Tohru, and Yuki also lays down his head on Tohru's shoulder as he recalls her words. She starts staying at their house and follows Tohru around like a little duckling, but she still refuses to speak a word. One day at school, Soma brothers tell Tohru that Kisa cannot stay at her home forever, and Momiji reveals that Kisa was actually getting bullied due to her looks and fancy hair. Her classmates stopped speaking to her and would always laugh at everything that she said, which made her shut off from the world. After school, Haru brings a letter to Kisa, which is from her homeroom teacher, and it asks Kisa to come back to school and to start loving herself. Yuki consoles Kisa that he used to hate himself when he stopped speaking as well, but he has realized that he needs to accept himself and find out his good qualities. Kisa starts crying and even begins to speak a little word, which shocks them all. She decides to try harder to overcome her weaknesses, and Yuki tells her that she is always welcome at their home. He then takes her to visit Tohru at her part-time job, and Tohru jumps to hug her when she hears her speaking. Soon Kisa returns to her school, and Yuki tells Takei that he is ready to become the next student council president. Both the Somas take their next step in life and decide to work harder to overcome their past. One day, Shigure's editor Mitsuru comes to fetch the manuscript on the deadline date, and no one opens the door for her. She calls Shigure, who tells her that he has gone to eat octopus, so she curses him wildly and runs away towards the octopus shop. She collides with another Soma family member called Ritsu on the way, who apologizes to her a lot. Tohru also comes back home and spots Ritsu, who is busy gathering his fallen books. Tohru helps him gather his books, so Ritsu starts to apologize for causing so much trouble to her. Tohru realizes that his attitude is really similar to the hot springs owner whom she met earlier, which makes her realize the true identity of Ritsu. Shigure then invites Ritsu inside, and Ritsu reveals that he has come to meet Tohru since all the Zodiac members have been coming to meet her. He starts panicking that maybe he isn't needed at the house, so Tohru assures him that she really wanted to meet him. Shigure points out that he gets easily nervous just like his mom, and gives him a challenge to stop saying sorry to anyone he meets. Yuki arrives at the house, and Ritsu comments that he looks similar to Ayame, which pisses off Yuki a lot. His anger makes Ritsu even more apologetic, and up next Kyo arrives at the house. Ritsu tells him that he seems to be getting along with Yuki, so both Yuki and Kyo yell at him that they are not getting along. Ritsu becomes very nervous and decides to leave, so Tohru tries to stop him. She causes him to transform into a monkey, which makes her realize that Ritsu is actually a male. Later, when he is back in his human form, he explains to her that he has always felt more comfortable in female clothing. The others head to their rooms to change their clothes, and just then Mitsuru arrives at their house, so Shigure lies to Ritsu that Mitsuru is actually his stalker. He asks him to make Mitsuru go away as a challenge, and Ritsu thinks that Shigure is trying to help him out, so he accepts his request. He tries to confront Mitsuru but finds her trying to end her life. Mitsuru throws a huge tantrum in front of their house which causes everyone else to come out as well. Shigure finally takes her inside and then gives her the manuscript which relaxes her. Ritsu starts panicking once again, which causes a coffee cup to get spilled on the manuscript. Mitsuru faints on the spot while Ritsu runs out of the house in panic. He climbs the roof and declares that he is going to unalive himself to atone for his sins, but he doesn't have enough courage. Tohru climbs after him and tells him that he should keep finding reasons to live, and that he should live his life for others' sake. She remembers how she had to survive after losing her mother as well, and her idea resonates with Ritsu. Afterwards, they wake Mitsuru up, and Shigure informs her that he is rewriting the manuscript. He makes her buy takoyaki for him in the meanwhile, and Ritsu goes along with her. They both discuss how pathetically anxious they both are, and Mitsuru shares that she wants to quit her job because of her anxiety. Ritsu consoles her and advises her to keep going and striving ahead. They return home with the takoyaki and Shigure hands Mitsuru the finished manuscript. Mitsuru and Ritsu become friends, and Mitsuru learns the fact that Ritsu is actually a guy, which shocks her a lot. One day, Kisa visits the group and they all watch a cringe anime together. She tells Shigure in broken language that she is trying her best, and Tohru hugs her in response. Later, Tohru visits the market and comes across a boy who asks her to pick up his shoe. He starts taunting her for being a simple person and introduces himself as Hiro Soma. He then asks her to take him to lunch, and she explains to him that she doesn't have much money on her, so he takes her bag from her and starts to look for the money. He instead finds her diary and he takes it from her bag. He then leaves her even though she tries to stop him since the diary has her mother's photo inside. Momiji finds her crying on the side path, and she tells him everything. Hiro heads to Shigure's house and discovers Tohru's mom's picture inside, which makes him think that she is a mommy's girl. Kyo then comes across him, and soon Tohru comes back to the house. She asks Hiro to give her back her mom's picture, but he blames her for giving the diary to him willingly. Momiji brings Kisa to talk to him, and she asks him why he would take Tohru's diary from her. He throws the diary at Tohru's head and blames Kisa for always yapping about Tohru as if she is the end of the world. He starts venting that he was also really worried for her when kids were bullying her, and Kisa then promises to watch anime with him the next time. Tohru then hugs him as a form of punishment, and he transforms into the Zodiac sheep. Soon Hiro and Kisa start visiting Shigure's home on their off days, and they all watch anime together. Hiro makes Tohru serve him tea, which pisses off Kyo a lot, and they get into an argument. Mitsuru then comes to pester Shigure about the manuscript and chases after him till he runs away from home. Tohru learns from Kisa that Hiro used to be really friendly with her, but he stopped talking to her for some time due to which she thought that he hated her. Hiro then comes back from the bathroom and asks Tohru to take both kids somewhere. She asks him where he wants to go, so he starts taunting her for being so indecisive. Shigure discusses with Hatori that Hiro confronted Akito some time back and told him that he loved Kisa a lot, due to which Akito hurt Kisa and it took her 2 weeks to fully heal. They think that Hiro started avoiding Kisa after the incident, and due to the same reason he is rude towards Tohru because he doesn't know what to do with his pent-up rage. Tohru takes the kids to the park, and Hiro starts complaining that she is a cheapskate who couldn't take them anywhere fancy. Tohru then buys crepes for the kids, and Hiro thinks about how he couldn't protect Kisa at all while Tohru managed to help her out. He tells Tohru that he is still a kid who cannot do anything, and tells him that he can always try to become a better person for Kisa's sake by having more courage. This cheers him up, and he pays for all of their crepes like a proper adult. The president of Yuki's fan club, named Motoko, has a dream in which she is wandering around an abandoned mansion, and she comes across Saki there, which scares her to death. Later at school, Arisa spots Saki talking with some girls, which is unusual for her. Saki then tells her friends that some girls want to come to her house for an interview, and Arisa decides to visit her house with them because she wants to see what the girls are up to. Meanwhile, the creepy fangirl Motoko watches Yuki from a window, and her 2 junior minions named Minami and Mio report to her that they have managed to convince Saki to give them an interview. They discuss that they need to get rid of Tohru at all cost because she has been getting too close with Yuki, but in order to deal with her, they need to get rid of Saki first. Soon after school, they accompany Saki and she leads them towards her house. Motoko tells her minions to be strong, and they all wonder whether Saki lives in some kind of dungeon where she holds daily rituals. Saki leads them to a normal-looking house and advises them not to speak their names in her house before leaving towards the kitchen. The girls head towards her room, and Motoko motivates them to talk nicely with Saki to find out her weakness. The girls start looking around the room to find any weakness that Saki has, and Motoko discovers a boy hiding in Saki's cupboard, which almost shocks her to death. Saki returns to her room with snacks and tells her brother named Megumi to come out of the cupboard. They all sit down to have some tea, and Megumi shares with the girls that he has the power to put curses on people by using their names. He then asks them what their names are, and the girls decide to head back to their own homes. Motoko tells the girls that they need to be strong in order to find out Saki's weakness, and Mio becomes really nervous, so she ends up asking Saki directly whether she has a weakness. Saki reveals that she has a weakness, and seeing their enthusiasm, she realizes that the girls are actually after Tohru due to Yuki's friendship with her. She confronts the girls and scolds them for coming after Tohru over someone trivial like Yuki, so they start arguing with her after hearing such words about their beloved Yuki. Megumi tells them that they should care more about what Yuki wants and that they respect his wishes. He then calls out their names one by one, and they all run away from the house with the speed of light. Megumi tells Saki that he heard their names when he was in the closet, and Saki shares with him that she was recently feeling jealous of Yuki as well due to his friendship with Tohru, but his words have made her realize that she should care more about Tohru's wishes. Arisa and Tohru pay her a visit, and Arisa tells her that Tohru decided to go to her part-time job later because she was worried for her. Saki thinks about how her only weakness is Tohru herself, and she then walks her to her part-time job. Makoto has a dream in which Saki and Megumi are sacrificing her in a ritual, and she wakes up screaming. She goes to her school and learns that Minami and Mio had the same dream as her, which makes them wonder whether they have all been really cursed. They then come across Saki, who informs them that it takes 3 days for the curse to start working, and they become even more scared. When Saki was a kid, she used to hear people's thoughts, due to which she hated going outside because it always overwhelmed her. Her parents brought her home from an outing one time and discussed how they cannot take her to the doctors because of her condition. When she went to school, the boys would call her a witch and would tease her endlessly. They even threw insects at her lunch one time and pushed her down, so she started wishing that the boys would just die. Suddenly, one of the boys collapsed on the ground and was taken away. He later gained consciousness, but Saki told her parents that she is the guilty party because she wanted the boy to die. She only wore the color black after that day, and the students started bullying her even more. One time she was cleaning the animal pit when some students saw her and ran away from her. One of the boys fell, and the students started blaming her for cursing him. The news even reached her parents, and Megumi told Saki to tell everyone that she is getting bullied. He consoled her that one day she will be surrounded by loved ones who will fully accept her. One time, some girls surrounded her and decided to burn her arm to test her powers. Saki tried her best to not think negatively about them, and a teacher found them, which made the girls run away. Her parents then advised Saki that they should all move away to a different location, and Saki realized that she didn't want to be a burden on them, but her parents assured her that she wasn't a burden on them. She changed schools soon after this incident, and at her new school, students kept their distance, but nobody bullied her. She then came across Tohru during lunch break duty and found her to be too polite for her own good. During a lunch break, Arisa asked her to eat lunch with her since she felt pity for the new student who was eating lunch by herself like a lonely loser. Tohru joined them and made Saki sit down with them, but Saki told them that they shouldn't associate themselves with her. They ignored her words and continued eating lunch with her. Soon she started spending time with them and became their friend, which made her really happy. 2 seasons passed by, and one day some girls asked Saki whether she really tried to end a boy's life in her elementary school. Saki started feeling upset and then ran away from the class, so Tohru ran after her. She told her to stay away from her, but Tohru approached her and told her that she loved her, due to which she cannot distance herself from her. Arisa heard all the commotion as well and told Saki to decide what she wants to do. Saki then started crying like a wuss and told the girls that she wants to stay with them. Soon she learnt with time how to control her powers and would also rarely use them to teach the girls a lesson. She thanked Megumi one time for always supporting her, and Kiyoko also told her that humans need to be loved and supported by their family and friends. Tohru and the folks get done with their exams and they get their results back. Tohru fails one of the subjects, due to which she has to give a makeup exam, and Saki tries to cheer her up even though she has failed all the subjects herself. She feels especially bad since Yuki was tutoring her as well, but he tells her to cheer up. Later she heads back home with Kyo and starts feeling guilty all over again. Suddenly she feels faint, so she leans against him, which makes him feel embarrassed as well. She then faints on the ground, and he quickly takes her to home where Shigure checks her temperature. He and Kyo tell her to rest and force her to retreat to her room so that she can rest properly. Kyo then makes porridge for her like a good boy and declares that they should order their dinner when Shigure asks him to make food for them as well. He serves Tohru the porridge and she finds it really delicious. He asks her to vent openly to him, so she starts ranting that she feels useless since she failed a subject despite Yuki's tutoring. After she is done crying a dam, he reminds her that she can always retake her tests and then tells her to rest properly. She realizes that he is trying to cheer her up, which makes her really happy, and she then resumes eating her porridge. Hatori then comes to check up on her and gives her an injection as well. She asks him about his payment, but he only tells her to take care of herself. Yuki then visits her and gives her some notes which he made for her, which will help her out in her makeup exams. Soon she gets over her fever and gives her makeup exams. She then heads home with Yuki and Kyo and notices that Kyo seems very lazy and sluggish. They all cross the road and Yuki reveals that Kyo becomes sluggish and rainy weather due to his Zodiac identity. He even feels faint, so Tohru offers to share her umbrella with him, which makes him feel even more angst. A weird person watches everything from a distance and becomes shocked to see Kyo smiling so openly. It stops raining as the trio reaches home and Kyo spots Kagura inside the home. She rushes towards him, so he shuts the door on her face and she punches her way through it to greet him. They all sit down and Kagura reveals that she came to visit Kyo because she was missing him. He starts arguing with her, so Shigure sorts the situation between them and asks them to go out on a date. He makes Tohru give Kagura the list of shopping ingredients and Kagura then drags Kyo outside with her. Yuki points out that Kagura should calm down sometimes, but Tohru thinks that she is already trying to maintain a distance with Kyo because she loves him a lot. Shigure reveals that the main Soma family deposits money into each member's bank account, and Tohru notices that Yuki looks upset on hearing this. Kagura drags Kyo to the supermarket and shops for the ingredients. She asks Kyo when he plans to tell Tohru the actual truth about himself, and he yells at her that she should stay out of his business. He then asks her why she even likes him so much, and she tells him that she cannot tell him, otherwise he will start crying. She then forces him to hold her hand, and they both walk home together. When they reach home, they find Kyo's teacher Kazuma at the door. When Kyo was a kid, his mom ended her life and everyone blamed him because they thought no woman can bear it if her child is the cat Zodiac. He kept telling himself that he isn't at fault, and one of the Somas named Kazuma approached him. He told him that the death isn't his fault and that he should come live with him. In the present, he meets with everyone and Shigure tells Tohru that Kazuma is actually all the youngsters' martial arts teacher. Kyo doesn't greet him properly and instead goes to his room, so Kazuma goes after him. Kagura tells Tohru that Kyo doesn't show his affection, especially in front of Yuki, but he is feeling really happy to see Kazuma. Meanwhile, Kyo greets Kazuma in his room and tries to land a jab at him playfully like the old days. Kagura and Tohru cook food together and Kagura reveals that Kazuma's grandpa used to be the previous cat Zodiac, due to which he understands Kyo a lot and acts as a father to him. Kazuma tells Kyo that he has come back from his training journey, which means that he can start his dojo now, but he wants Kyo to stay at Shigure's house for now. Kyo declares that he wants to return to the dojo and that he hates this house, but Kazuma doesn't believe him. He then stays for the night and Kagura decides to ask him if she should lay his futon in Kyo's room. She ends up overhearing Kazuma telling Shigure that he will break Kyo's seal in order to test Tohru out, and Shigure reminds him that Kyo may end up hating him, but Kazuma thinks that he wants to take the risk. Later, he asks Tohru if she can come outside in a few minutes, and she agrees to his request. He then takes Kyo outside and asks him to accept his true form, so Kyo yells at him that he already accepts himself. He gives him a reality check that he is only trying to run away from the truth, and Kyo starts blaming the rat Zodiac for everything that happened to him. Kazuma then swipes away his bracelet in an instant, and Kyo spots Tohru behind him, which scares him a lot. He suddenly transforms into an ugly-looking cat which looks like a monster and recalls how Akito used to call him disgusting, which made him hate himself. He runs away into the forest and Tohru runs after him. Kyo mopes around a lake and recalls how his mom used to console him after Akito would endlessly taunt him. He even smashes the hill in anger, which collapses all around him. Tohru finds him and starts to climb the rubble around him to approach him, but he yells at her to stay away from him and even hits her, which sends her flying into the water. She then heads back on her own, and Kyo decides that he will torment her so much that she will also leave him. He recalls that his mom always told him that he wasn't disgusting and that she loved him a lot, but on the other hand, She repeatedly checked his rosary and always locked him inside the house to stop anyone from seeing him. Tohru turns around and rushes to his side where she hugs him. She declares that she feels scared of him, but she still wants them to head back to the house. Kyo realizes that he always wanted his mom to accept him as he is rather than avoiding his true form, and he transforms back into a human. He then hugs Tohru, which transforms him into a human, and falls asleep on her lap. Later she returns home with Kyo in her arms. In the past, when Kazuma took in Kyo, people gossiped that he must be taking pity on him since Kyo's own father cannot even take care of him. Kazuma shielded him from everything and raised him like his own son. One time, the teachers called Kazuma when Kyo got into some trouble at school, and he yelled at them that they shouldn't think Kazuma is his dad since he didn't want to be a burden on Kazuma. When Kyo wakes up in the present, Shigure tells him that Kazuma has headed back home and that Tohru is walking him halfway, so he rushes outside to meet them. Kazuma tells Tohru that his grandpa was isolated and kept like a prisoner in a separate lodging just because he was the cat Zodiac. Once he approached him, his grandpa offered him a treat, and Kyo told him that he cannot approach him because he may get cursed. He really regretted his behavior and started to see the same kind of cruel behavior being shown towards Kyo as a kid. He then took him in to atone for his previous sins, but then started to love Kyo. He thinks that he was acting very selfish for removing Kyo's rosary without his consent, due to which he does not know how to face him anymore, but Tohru tells him that he was only acting in Kyo's best interests, just like how a father would act. Kyo catches up to them and jumps at Kazuma. He starts fighting with him as he asks him why he would leave without saying anything to him. He declares that he knows he is just a useless loser, but one day he will become strong enough to make him worthy of being his father. Kazuma smacks him in return and calls him his son, which makes Kyo really happy. Later, Kyo decides to attend Kazuma's dojo 3 times a week and vows to become a much better person, but the next day he gets into an argument with Yuki as usual and storms off towards school. Tohru also heads to school and thinks about how Kagura has been avoiding her and how Yuki has been looking down ever since Kyo transformed into an ugly Pokemon. Yuki recalls how Kagura left the morning after Kyo's transformation without saying anything, and he finds her really strong. He tells Hatsuharu that he is keeping everything inside him to not feel any negative emotions, and Haru tells him that even Tohru seems worried about him. He later approaches Tohru and tells her that he plans to open up gradually and try out more things one by one. He tells her not to worry about him and that he plans to make more memories with her, which sounds like a pickup line to her. She starts blushing like a teenage girl, which makes him laugh even more. After school, Hatsuharu heads to their home with them, and even Kagura joins them midway. She reveals that Shigure invited her over to their house and that she plans to join the dojo with Kyo as well. They all reach home and find Ayame waiting for them with a basket full of crabs. Other Soma family members join them for dinner, while Shigure goes to the Soma estate to pay Akito a visit. Hiro pays a visit to someone at the hospital, and the girl tells him that she plans to deal with the Zodiac curse once and for all. That's all for today, my fellow men of culture. If you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe the channel for more anime recaps.